Hello, I'm Father Kasmir, Nema SVD. Welcome to this series of conversations, treasures of the past and experiences of the present. It is a privilege to welcome you today, our resources person from Indonesia, Father Philipus Tule. Father Philip, welcome. As you know, we are celebrating 150 years of anniversary of our founding as Society of Divine Word. How do you personally reflect on this milestone from your perspective as a scholar as well as educator?
I find this moment of 150 years jubilee is very significant
Mm.
for us to reflect and to refocus, redirect our mission, uh, focus on our vocation, and reflect what we have done
Mm.
uh, based on our ministry in formation and education. For 40 years, I have done my ministry totally specialized in the formation house. But recently, I was transferred to a tertiary education, Catholic University of Unbira, where I can work not only for the priest candidates,
Mm.
but also with the other students.
Mm.
Even the Muslims, the Protestants are there.
What has inspired you, your calling to be anthropologist as well as educator?
Firstly, as an SVD priest,
Mm.
I was trained to become a missionary in the sense that I am called to be a proclaimer of the good news. But after ordination, I was assigned to be a assistant of novice master. It's like as a preparation for me to do further studies in Islamology. And then after my Islamic studies,
Mm.
I finished with the studies in Pontifical Institute of Arabic and Islamic Studies in Rome. Then I returned to Indonesia
Mm.
to be a formator, an educator in the major seminary. And that is the biggest uh, major seminary in the society and even in the world. And I am in charge
Mm.
to be a formatter, and at the same time, I was in charge to be a lecturer in Islamic studies because the need for the interreligious dialogue, especially with the Muslims in Indonesia, is very urgent. Indonesia is the
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 biggest.
home of the biggest Muslim concentration in the world.
Yes.
That's why the ministry in interreligious dialogue with Muslims and with other religious believers is very urgent to be taught to the priest candidates and also for the SVD ministries in general.
Now, looking at your special ministry with this Islamic community, from your perspective, from your experience, where do you see the impact of this interfaith religious dialogue with the Muslim in particular?
Practically, I experienced that I have been involved in this kind of interreligious dialogue, especially with the Muslims, but I have been living with my Muslim relatives since I was a small child. And from that background, I feel that I have been strengthened to study the interreligious dialogue. It's not based on our academic background or based on the theological perspective, but more on the based on the cultural background. I feel that the way the paradigm to do interreligious studies, interreligious dialogue, not only based on the theological perspective, but also from the cultural perspective, and that is very common
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's very easy
Yeah. Yeah.
to do it.
Are you saying that the dialogue of life is
Yes,
more
life.
impactful than those academic dialogues?
Yes, I do believe
Mhm.
that when we are talking about interreligious dialogue, there are few levels. We started from the living dialogue, that we dialogue with other religious believers, not discussing about the theological or philosophical aspect of religion, but we do practice the simple thing in
Right.
our daily life. And then we have to be aware that the high level of dialogues we can discuss
Right.
about the religious doctrines or theology, but more than that, we can do interreligious dialogue through the sharing of our religious experience,
Right.
and
Right.
that's very high level of religious dialogue.
You are also known as an anthropologist in Indonesia. Um, how do you see the cultural aspect or indigenous aspect of faith? Do you think it is okay to compromise the faith because of those cultural rituals, cultural backgrounds of the people, and how important for us missionaries to know the cultural backgrounds of the people?
Yeah, I do experience that all the religions
Mm,
revealed, especially the revelation, revealed religions or heavenly religions, always been revealed in a certain context,
right.
the local context,
Mm-mm.
the cultural context, both Islam and Christianity. That's why we have to be aware that all religions is contextual revelation. That's why when we are as Muslims or as Christians or Catholics nowadays, we are encouraged
Mhm.
to live our religions in a contextual way.
Right.
That's why in Christianity, in Catholicism, we have the adaptation, inculturation,
Right.
and as well in Islam. There is also inculturation in Islam.
Speaking about that
Mm.
inculturation, what is the most significant contribution that inculturation has made in Indonesia based on your experience?
For the Catholics, we have been uh, quite
Mhm.
well expand in adaptation and inculturation.
Mm.
As we have seen that many liturgy rituals are performed
Mhm.
in the Indonesian language,
Mhm.
and also the liturgical vestments, the
Okay.
casual,
Mhm.
has been prepared not from the European materials, but
Yep.
we
Local
have the
context.
casual
Yeah.
with a local
Mhm.
hand weaving
Yes.
material,
Mhm.
and that's just the something very outer aspect of
Inculturation.
inculturation. There is something deeper than that.
Mhm.
That is the philosophy, way of thinking, of the local people that
Mhm.
we have to enculturate.
Mhm.
And I found out that in Catholicism, there are many priests
Mm.
who have done quite progressive enculturation.
Mhm.
When they are preaching,
Mhm.
they use also the local concept,
Right.
the local wisdom.
Mm.
Yeah. In interreligious dialogue in Islam, we have done quite interesting value and local elements that we adopt into the religious interaction.
Mhm.
That's the concept or the wisdom of house-based society.
Right.
You know, in Indonesia and in Asia Pacific, we have cultural values that we call the house-based society.
Mm.
Uh, a French anthropologist, Levi Strauss,
Mhm.
when he did research observation in South America,
Mm.
in Asia and Pacific, and also in Indonesia,
Mm.
the local people, they don't have any sociological term like clan,
Right.
tribe, but
In.
in Indonesia and also in Asia and Pacific society,
Uh-huh.
in the local language, they don't have the sociological term like clan,
Mhm.
tribe,
Mhm.
but they always refer to their house,
Okay.
the source house, and the constellation of houses
Mhm.
built a domain, a
Mm.
kampong, a village.
Mm.
Yeah, and that is the term, sociological term
Mm.
for society
Mm.
in their uh, own local wisdom.
All right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in Islam as well,
Mm.
in Arabic society,
Mm.
in Semitic society, they have the term for house,
Mm.
but they use the Arabic terms like dar or bait.
Mm.
That's why they have the House of Islam, the Dar al Islam.
Mm.
They have Baitullah,
Mm.
the house of God. And also in the Asia Pacific community,
Mm.
they have that term as well in various local languages.
Mm.
And I try to take that
Mhm.
local wisdom,
Mm.
the house-based society and the house-based concept
Mhm.
to bridge
Okay.
Islam and Christianity when we are talking and contemplating
Mhm.
that all the believers are longing for the house of God,
Right.
that in heaven or in church,
Mm.
ecclesia is the house of God.
Okay.
Like the Muslims, they contemplating that Kaaba when they are
Mm.
doing pilgrimage to Mecca,
Yep. Yep.
and as
Yep.
they visit the house of God.
Yeah.
But on the basis and the highest level of this religious perspective,
Mm.
that's the house of God in heaven. That's why I did my research and published a book
Mhm.
entitled Longing for the House of God, Dwelling in the House of the Ancestors,
Mm.
Local Belief, Christianity, and Islam in a small community in Flores where
Grow
I
up.
come from, grow up.
Yeah. Yeah. In Bajawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the book was very much appreciated by the
Yeah,
Muslims as well. No?
that's right.
You
Yeah.
see the connection between the Christianity, the Catholicism particular, and the Muslim based on the construction
Yeah.
of the house.
Yeah.
You are not only talking about interfaith dialogue, but you already living with it,
Yeah.
and it's starting really coming
That's
from
right.
your family. Thank you for that experience, Father. What do you see the greatest opportunities for mission in Asia, in Indonesia, and beyond?
The first things that SVD has contribute to Indonesian church
Mm.
is that the formation and education of the priest candidates. I am happy that we can contribute more than 500 missionaries now to all over the world.
Mm.
More than 70 countries
Yeah.
we have sent our missionaries. And that's the biggest contribution
Okay.
SVD has done for the Indonesian society.
I think the message is very clear. You want, from your perspective as educator, that Swedish Indonesia should continue the ministry in the education setting. Thank you very much, Father Philip Tule, SVD, for sharing those experience, your personal experience. I'm Father Kasmir Nema, SVD. Thank you for watching us, and see more conversations in our next interviews. Bye for now.